Why does it look like Adrian has like 10 ring lights in his glasses? It's like it's an eternal ring light.
No, it's just his porno light.
Oh.
Oh yeah, we're good. Are we live?
Yes.
I wasn't paying attention to you.
All right, guys. Good news. Just a couple of days ago, September 29th, I believe, was actually the 30-year anniversary of the release of Dirt. So we're here to do a comprehensive review of the entire album, song by song.
That's awesome.
We're going to listen to each one, and then we're going to dissect each song. So I hope you guys brought some snacks.
Yes.
Maybe a cup of coffee. We're going to be here for a minute.
At least 2 hours.
We're not doing that?
I got extensive notes, Dave.
Yeah. It really was the 30-year anniversary. Also,
out of this.
Interestingly enough, it's also the 30-year anniversary of Vulgar Display of Power. I don't remember the exact day, but it's this year as well. So that's pretty cool. Yeah.
Good year. Good year for music. Yeah, it was both.
Yeah, the two I just said. Oh, you're right. You're right. Those are great albums. I forgot.
True story.
Yeah.
We're back?
Yeah, we're back on the Metalhead Journey.
What's great is that I was muted the entire time until just now.
Trust me, they didn't miss anything.
Anyway, hey, listen, okay, obviously we suck. We're glad you're here. We're here finally for the next installment of the Metalhead's Journey. This is going to be albums 35 through 31 of the top 50 metal albums of all time. So let's get right into it. We'll introduce the podcast, and then we'll start doing it.
God, I'm so unprofessional.
I'm so unprofessional.
Yeah.
I literally, I'm talking and I just don't. I'm like, why is my bar not moving like theirs is? Oh wait, that's why.
So stupid. All right, here we go. Hello, and welcome to Three Guys and a Mic presents A Metalhead's Journey. Top 50 metal albums of all time. Albums 35 through 31. I'm your co-host, The Human Dart, along with
Jason Tsunami,
David Disaster,
Adrian Aftershock.
We made it barely.
Yeah.
what the fuck are you laughing at over there? God damn, Dave.
At the giggles.
Yeah. Look.
Hey, listen, it's good to be back. Thank you guys for covering for me last week. I was busy in an undisclosed location. I appreciate it. But hey, we're back, and dude, we're fucking back finally for Metalhead's Journey.
It's been 2 months.
I'm so tired of listening to these albums.
Yeah, I'm tired of listening to them because they aren't good. Most of them, but we'll get into it.
I guess we'll see on that front there. Hey, good news. This week we're bringing back a special category. Dave doesn't like it, but that's okay. We all teamed up on Dave, and we brought it back. We're bringing back lowlights.
Yes.
Way to go, Adrian.
Good job, Adrian.
Yeah, that was your idea. I fully support it. Because, listen, let's be honest. Anything Dave contributes to this podcast is typically a low light. So this is really his category.
Yeah. So
right up there with cinematography.
We get to talk about the songs that aren't good and argue about them. That's fine. Yeah. No, it's honestly a good category. And look, I think this is an opportune week to bring it back because a lot of these albums have a good number of lowlights. So we'll have a lot to discuss.
Because there's a lot of lowlights. Yeah. Okay. Anyway,
let's just get into this.
We're here to talk about the next 5 albums 35 through 31. Hopefully you followed along with us so far here on the Metalhead's Journey. We've talked about some good albums. We've talked about some shitty albums. Listen, me, I think these next 5 albums are all pretty good. So I'm excited for these 5. So
real quick, Josh.
Right
I just because it's been a couple months for those that are watching or listening in. So just as a reminder of where this list came from, for if this is your first time tuning in or just a refresher. So I went and pulled basically every top heavy metal albums of all time list I could find from reputable sources. Put threw that into an Excel spreadsheet and worked some nerd magic, and the list was born. So these are the top 50 albums that are on those lists. This isn't a list that we created, or this is not our opinion piece or anything like that. This is general consensus of the heavy metal community, as it were. So if an album is not on this list that's your favorite, hey, look, it is what it is. So just wanted to throw that out there.
So, all right. Well, hey, we're starting with the with the 35th best album of all time here, and then oddly enough, it's a back-to-back Judas Priest here. So we finished our last Metalhead's journey with Judas Priest. We're starting this one with Judas Priest. So this is Stained Class. Since we've already had Judas Priest show up on this list before, I'm going to skip the history of the band, and I'm just going to go into the album. Stained Class was released in 1978, and it's the band's fourth studio album. This is the only album to feature songwriting credits for all 5 members. This was the band's first album to crack the Billboard Top 200, peaking at 173. Excuse me. The album featured 2 singles, Better by You, Better Than Me, and Exciter. So just a quick aside here on Better by You, Better Than Me. It's a cover song from a band called Spooky Tooth. The song actually got the band in got them a lot of negative attention. A few years after its release, there was a pair of fans that were supposedly influenced by the song to make a suicide pact. So probably because of how bad the song was. I don't know, but it's a terrible song. So what we're going to do now is we're going to go in and talk about the album a little bit, and we're going to give it a rating. So just to give you guys a little bit of info here, we decided as a podcast we need to establish our own proprietary rating system here on Three Guys and a Mic, and we like to refer to things as shit. So we aptly named this the Shitometer. And the name of the game here is the lowest score possible. You want to be a 0. Anything 0 to a 50 is basically any version or any variation of something that we would recommend for you. Anything starting 51 to 100 is varying levels of absolute dog shit. Terrible shit, diarrhea shit. And then if you get into the 90s to the 100s, that's the Venom section, okay?
Whoa.
There's only a few choice bands that have made that journey to the top 100 there.
That have called that land home.
Yeah. So that's going to be the new Venom shit section, okay?
I think I gave that 30-something?
You gave it a 38 because you're stupid.
Yeah. Nope.
Yeah. Well, Jason, since you gave Venom a 38 somehow, why don't you start and give us your Judas Priest score here?
All right, so Judas Priest, this album, and we just did Judas Priest Sad Wings, and I gave that, I think, a
49. Yeah.
Okay. This album, while not great, in my opinion, and full of average songs, actually scored better. In fact, the song Better by You, Better Than Me is the song that I actually liked the most on this album. I did not know it was a cover. So
you like a song that made people commit suicide, Jason.
Yeah. So, but my second favorite song was Stained Class. And my Shitometer score for this album is a 44.
I can go next real quick. So overall, I turned on this album. First song came on, Exciter, which made me excited because I thought I was going to listen to a great album. And while it's not a bad record, so I'm not gonna sit here and dump on it too much. It's far better than the previous one. In fact, it's 20 points better than the previous one for me. But I would say it's far from great. I do recommend it. I have it at a 40.
Okay. I'll pop in here. Just out of curiosity, what did I rate the last one?
55. Sad Wings of Adrian.
55.
Sad Wings of Adrian.
What was it? 55.
55,
Yes,
yep.
55. 5-5.
All right, so I'm at a 45 on this one. I think it's, the step in the right direction for something for me to actually like really like. I just feel like it's just so dated. Like, it's just like way too old school for me to really like. What's funny is there's older Black Sabbath albums that to me don't have that same vibe. But this one just something about it. It's just too old school. It's funny. This is my dad's favorite Judas Priest album, and I realized like this past week that I actually wrote a song that I completely stole from them, and I didn't even realize it. But it was a long time ago. But anyway, yeah, I'm right there with Dave. Exciter came on, and I mean I've heard that song before, but you think they come in with a fucking bang, and then it just kind of slows down and it just stays slowed down. But I mean, it's a jam. The album fucking jams. I have no issues with it. It's just a little too old school for me. It's my biggest complaint.
That's interesting. Look, definitely, a step in the right direction. Dude, I think I listened, other than one other album on this list, I think I listened to this one the second most. I really enjoyed this record. I think there's a lot of really, really solid songs on it. Adrian, I kind of went through the same feeling you did with like the sound of it for a little bit, and then I started really thinking about Black Sabbath a little bit more, and I was like, like I don't god damn it, I don't excuse me, sorry, I don't mind the sound on Black Sabbath, and so I tried to approach it from that angle, and it kind of helped me out, and it helped me listen to it a little bit different and try to imagine it maybe in like today's production, and it'd be a little bit heavier. Yeah, so I like this album actually a lot. I gave it a 37.
Okay. So, I mean, relatively speaking, we were all kind of in the ballpark of each other. So,
what before we get a little bit too much further, I think the cool part about tonight's podcast is that even though we've all had 2 months to like marinate over these 5 albums, we haven't really been talking about the albums overtly. So we really don't know, like, kind of where people stand with the albums.
yeah.
I think it makes the evening more interesting.
Oh, the reveal, yeah. So, overall, that puts us at a 41.5 on the shitter meter score. So definitely a recommend. Not an overly strong recommend, but if you're particularly into the classic metal sound, this is definitely going to be up your alley. If you're more familiar with like our tier score for us, this would be considered like a C tier record. So by no means bad, but kind of middle of the road, kind of average for our rating system. And then before we get, go ahead.
Go ahead. No, go ahead.
Before we get any further, just wanted to say, overall, does anyone think this belongs on the list?
Yes.
Yeah, it does.
I don't know yet.
I don't know yet. This is where you make that decision. There is no yet.
I'll say I don't know yet because, well, there's two more that we have on this list.
Judas Priest. I think there's like 3 or 4 more.
Yeah, I'll say no for now for you, Adrian. We'll say no for
right.
now.
Okay.
I'm gonna say no as well, but because I definitively think that there are better Priest records than this one. I hope. And will you want to? Do you want? Does this record make you want to listen to more Judas Priest?
No.
Well,
Yes.
Not that we have a choice, but yes.
Okay. Jason, you say no.
Yeah, I said no.
Okay, I say yes.
Better. Yeah, I mean, at least that's what it seems like, And I'm kind of familiar with what comes next, so I feel like because of that, I'm excited to listen to more of them.
Yeah.
All right.
Are we going to do highlights and lowlights?
Yeah, we'll do that in a second. I thought this was a good showing for Rob Halford. I didn't feel like Halford was. I didn't listen to a lot of Judas Priest, right? So the last album, Sad Wings of Destiny, was really the first album I spent a lot of time with Halford, and I really wasn't impressed. That changed a lot for me. I think a lot of my enjoyment on this record is because I felt like he showed up a lot better on this record. What do you guys think about Halford?
Halford in particular, while good, I think the drummer specifically is what stood out for me. I think the drumming was a far step up from their previous drummer. Hearing double bass in an album that came out, Josh, do you have the year in front of you? I want to say this is late 70s.
78, I think.
It was 78, yep.
Yeah, I mean, hearing double bass in 1978, I mean, I'm not going to sit here and pretend like that might have been the first double bass or whatever, but it's kind of crazy to me to hear that all the way back in the late 70s. I think the drummer is definitely a highlight for me. But Halford's very good, specifically on I have it right here. Hold on. It's going to bother me.
Beyond the Realms of Death.
Yeah, Beyond the Realms of Death. That song in particular, I think, that song is easily a cut above all the other songs on this record for me. And
It was one of my highlights.
And I wish the record was more like that song, to be fair.
If this album had been mostly like that song, it would have gotten in the 30s for me.
Yeah, I think it would have been much.
Even though that's a highlight for me, it is. It's a great song, and that's the song that I stole accidentally, Beyond the Realms of Death. I feel like I wanted the album to be more like Exciter.
I don't disagree either. Do we want to get into highlights now?
Yeah, go ahead, Dave.
So I just I have Exciter again, that open double bass. I just love
order.
Wait, did we say in order? Okay, so that's fine.
Yeah.
So it's going to be number 3 is going to be Stained Class. I love that song. The title track is very, very good. My number 2 is Exciter, and my number 1 is Beyond the Realms of Death. I just think those are the 3 clear winners of this album for me. And like Jason mentioned in his overview, I think the rest of the album is kind of just not filler. Like, there's no true skippers for me, but they're all kind of just average songs. Except for Better By You, Better Than Me. I actually do skip that song. I'm not trying to be mean to Jason. That's just legitimate. I don't like that song.
I'll go next. I didn't know about the Better Than You, Better Than Me as being a cover.
Bro, how do you not know? That song sounds completely different than anything else.
Oh, and I agree. Like, it should have been a tip off. So I'm gonna that would have been my number 1. So I'm just gonna go ahead and move this around and not count that one. So my number 3 is Exciter. Even though I would skip that song. Number 2 would be Beyond the Realms of Death, and number 1 would be Stained Class.
An interesting list. Okay. I'm going to pop in here with my number 3 being Better By You, Better Than Me. Number 2 being Beyond the Realms of Death. And number 1 being Exciter.
Right.
We're pretty close, Adrian.
Yeah. I have number 3, Saints in Hell. I love the little mid-tempo opening riff, and then Halford's vocals during the verse. So good. I got Exciter.
Midsection. I like the midsection of that song. I just don't like the rest of the around the song. For Saints in Hell.
Okay. Exciter, great opener. Very speed metal, very good. And then number 1, Beyond the Realms of Death. Just that chorus is unstoppable.
Yep.
Low lights for me, I had Better By You, Better Than Me, and White Heat, Red Hot.
My one low light's going to be Invader.
Oh, come on, bro. Invader.
Yeah,
great song.
The solo is cool, but that's
an honorable mention for me. I love that song.
I like that song. The only true skipper for me was Better By You, Better Than Me, and it's not because it's a bad song, but because just tonally, it threw me off because it doesn't sound like anything. And actually finding out that it was a cover makes total sense. Like, I feel like covers belong as the last song on records most of the time. If you're gonna put a cover on it. What's that?
Or not on them at all.
Oh, that's true. Yeah. But overall, that was the only song that I felt like skipping. All the other songs just kind of, they were whatever to me.
I had 2 songs on here that are pretty much just did not like at all. That was Invader and Hero's End, the final song on the album. I could not stand that song. That was hands down the worst song on the album.
I think I might have to throw that on my lowlights too.
Dude,
I don't like that.
I can't stand either one of you guys. You guys suck.
I will say Heroes End almost made my cut for a low light, but I kind of just left it off because I didn't know if it was a low light or if I was just done with the record by the time it got to that song, so I didn't really choose it.
That's exactly how I felt. Right. No, like I don't ever want to hear that song ever again.
No, you're right, because it's the second. It's Beyond the Realms of Death is the second to last song, and pretty much when that song ends, I'm done.
Just right there.
Yeah, I'm done. So yeah, I would say whatever Heroes Call or whatever Warriors Call. That song's
Heroes End, Dave.
Heroes End. Yeah, the record that record needs to end.
Heroes Call. That's a good one. We should remember that.
All right.
Well, let me tell you about another record that I never want to hear again. All right, moving on to the next one here. This is also another band we've seen before. This is the band Death with the album Symbolic. This is number 34 on the list. Symbolic, released in 1995, is the band's sixth studio album. Symbolic has received widespread critical acclaim and is regarded by many as being Death's greatest album and possibly the greatest death album of all time.
Wow.
Death metal album of all time, excuse me. The album shows a continued shift in sound from their previous albums towards a more melodic sound. Notably, this was the last album to feature Gene Hoglan on drums.
Yep.
I'll come in with my score first. I'm coming in at 100.
What?
Listen, I'm having to.
Oh my! Have you been drinking?
I'm having to correct what these guys are going to score this album, so I'm purely giving this.
Josh.
I'm just joking. Listen, really good album. Not as good as the last Death album that we had on the list for me. But still really, really good. Great guitar riffs on it. I thought the vocals were really good on this album as well. Another solid offering. I came in with a 30.
All right.
Jason, you want to go?
Yeah, I'll go. Comparison into the last Death record. I think I gave the last Death record a 45.
You are correct.
Okay. This album was better for me. The problem is it's somewhat like the Judas Priest issue, where it was better, but I did not have like any songs on this album that just like, holy shit, this is a great song. Every song on here, I'm just looking at my scores. Every song
good,
on here,
but there's no standouts.
Correct.
Me either.
Correct.
I agree.
And I ended up giving this a 38.
All right, I'll go next, Adrian. I'll save you for last. Yeah, I mean, not surprisingly, I disagree with Jason and Josh as far as there not being highlights. Overall, I mean,
I have highlights. I'm just saying, to me, in the 2 months I've listened to it versus the 20 years you've listened to it, I just haven't arrived at any there. I was like, holy shit.
Yeah. Oh, look. Yeah. To put it in perspective, I started listening to Death in high school, so this is one of the few bands, one of the handful of bands I should say on this list that I kind of grew up with. So my score is going to be reflective of that.
Kind of like an album for me later.
Yeah, I love this record. I love everything about this record. This is one of the greatest albums ever released, in my opinion. And it has few peers. I came in at a 5.
What?
So is this your favorite Death? I think I asked you that before. But...
yes, this is my favorite Death album.
Dang.
Well, so I might as well just say, Dave, I have a 5 as well.
Wow.
Right out of 5.
That is crazy.
So just so you guys know, I mean, I guess if I completely agree with everything David said, but I'm going to go a different route on this. If go back and listen to the album, you can tell that I tried to emulate when we played as a band. I tried to emulate the guitar solo sound.
Oh yeah.
No, look. There are elements.
Yeah,
you can hear it.
I mean, you can hear iHuman in all of this shit.
Yes, I agree.
So just so you know how influential this album is to me. I agree with Dave. This is one of the greatest albums ever created. It is an S tier for me.
Is this also your favorite Death record?
I'm going to be lame and say I don't have one of those, Josh.
Yeah,
because I feel like there's like 3 or 4 Death albums that are just in that S tier for me. That I mean, why have a favorite? They're all good, and what I love about Death is all 4 of them are completely fucking different albums with completely different identities.
yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, yeah, 5 for me. I love this album. It's top 5.
So what is
Definitely.
it? So just from you guys, right? Well, Dave, go ahead and give us a score, and then I want to.
So this because of specifically like Jason's better score here, this surprisingly scored better than Sound of Perseverance, the previous Death album, but this has a 19.5, which is for us considered like an A tier overall average. Let's get these questions out of the way. I already know Adrian's question, so Josh, do you think this belongs on the list?
I'd say yes and yes.
Okay. Oh, to both. Okay. What the fuck? Oh my god, I want to kill myself. All right. All right.
This is certainly good.
No, I'm failing miserably because this computer is stupid.
If you recall, Josh and Jason, the vocals from The Sound of Perseverance, which is the last Death album we listened to,
Yeah.
Jason compared Chuck Schuldiner vocal styles in the previous album to sounding like Gollum, which is funny because I couldn't unhear it after he said that. But it's definitely more high pitched, and then we get to Symbolic, which was recorded 3 years before. It's more of it's deeper. It's more of like a growl than a high pitched wail.
Yeah.
I
didn't have any problem with the vocals.
Okay.
My issue with this one is it's just none of the songs for me like just grab hold of me personally, whether it's a chorus or just based on like my scoring. Every song has highlights within the song, and then other parts that are just like, oh, okay. And then like, where are we going with this? And then, oh, hey, look, I like that part. And then a part that I don't really care for, or something, like I said, there was just something missing, it seems like, from most of the songs in here for me personally. That was all.
Yeah.
This was not a vocal singing style issue.
Gotcha.
Okay.
What was your question going to be, Josh?
Just so both you guys gave the album a 5, right? So what is it about, Dave, I guess since you're going to be more definitive about this than Adrian is, I mean, what is it about this particular album that makes it their best for you?
Man, I just
What's
think
the separator.
I think for me, this just, us having the benefit of hearing everything that Chuck Schuldiner ever put together, and just to be clear, he was the mastermind behind this band. He was the one constant in their.
He's the only one that gets a writing credit on this record. So.
Yeah, so this to me felt like he literally. I mean, the plan was for this record to be Death's last record, and only due to contractual obligation and some other issues did Sound of Perseverance even end up becoming a Death album. So
because that was supposed to be a Control Denied album, right?
Yeah.
Right.
So this record feels like him putting everything into it between the guitar solos, which I think are unmatched on this record. This record has more of a like a soul behind it, where Sound of Perseverance, while still I think one of the best records ever released, is a little bit more robotic in its delivery. This record has like soul, and specifically, just so I can kind of steal my highlight, I think the best song. Maybe the best song that Death ever written is Perennial Quest. Just from an overall feeling standpoint, absolutely love that song. But just lyrically, I don't know, man. This record just kind of speaks to me. Every single song to me is, and I have specific highlights, but every single song to me is a highlight in some way, shape, or form. And man, it's just like. I don't know. I just love everything about this record. I think the production has held up. I mean, and not to mention like the drumming. Gene Hoglan is a fucking animal on this record.
Yeah, he is.
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't notice drums very often, but I mean, every every moment on this record was noticeable in that aspect.
Yeah.
I would say for me, like I know I gave it a 30, which doesn't sound like it's a great score. I think I gave Sound of Perseverance a 22.
Yes, that's correct.
Something like that. So
yes,
but 30 is a high score for me in a lot of cases. I genuinely think that I'm happy that we did this so I could get into Death. Like I'd heard some Death with you guys before, but like now hearing these two records, it's one of those things like hearing some of Megadeth's best records where we're like, man, what the fuck have we been doing? Like this for me has been like really exciting to get to hear these albums really for the first time. And I know we have one more album. I don't know if it's in the next 5 or the 5 after that, but
it's in the 5
we
after.
Have one more Death. So we have one more Death album coming up, and I'm excited, man. I'm excited for that album to pop up. Let me give my top 3 while I'm here.
Okay, go ahead.
So top 3 for the record. Like I said, I agreed with Jason. I just didn't feel like there's I liked every song. I have a low light, but it's not really a low light. It's just like the one song where I'm like, it's okay. It's empty words. But for me, the 3 best songs. Number 3 was Misanthrope. It's just I love the start of it. Just very starts off like a very just classic death metal song, and then there's some cool riffs and transitions within the song. Second one, I got 1,000 Eyes. Great little pre-chorus riff, and the drums during the melodic chorus were really good into this really cool little chuggy part. I know that's very descriptive. I apologize, but that's just the only way I can describe it. And then the best song for me was Without Judgment. The note I put on is this song is just full of chuggy, stink face riffs. I just found myself just like, for those on the pod, you can't see my face, but stink facing it the whole time. So I thought Without Judgment was the best song on the album.
That chorus riff,
it's fucking gross, dude. Just when it comes on, I'm just like,
yeah.
Hey, I'm gonna jump in here because as amazing as it may sound, I'm pretty close to Josh's here. Again, I'm gonna repeat what Josh said. There's no extreme lowlights, but my least favorite song is Empty Words. My top 3 we're gonna be number 3, Misanthrope. Number 2, Without Judgment. Number 1, Crystal Mountain.
Hell yeah.
Crystal Mountain's a good song.
Yeah. So I'll go next because it's it's funny. So my number I have 5. I just couldn't pick, but my number 5 is 1,000 Eyes. And number 4 is Symbolic. Number 3 is Empty Words. You guys are insane. That's a great song.
Really.
It's really good. It actually almost was my number 2, but it wasn't. Number 2, Crystal Mountain, and number 1, Perennial Quest.
Okay. My number 3 is Symbolic. Number 2, Crystal Mountain, and number 1, Perennial Quest.
There you go.
Great song.
Yeah. I don't have any low lights, so.
Something like Mountain isn't sick as fuck.
Look, I'm not saying that Empty Words is a low light. I'm just saying it's a low light. All right,
it's fine.
Hey, another solid entry for Death here. So I'm enjoying it. All right, here we go. Another band we've seen before here. So we're not giving any band info here. So this is Halloween. This is Keeper of the Seven Keys Part 2. So Part 2 was released in 1988. It's the band's 3rd studio album. This album is generally regarded as being the best power metal album of all time. It's the number 1 album on the list that me and Dave are doing, the top 30, if we ever get back to it. This album peaked at 108 on the Billboard charts in the U.S., which I was shocked by. That a power metal album, 108, but still the fact that it's even on the list was shocking. Yeah. The album features 2 singles, Dr. Stein and I Want Out. I Want Out is regarded as the band's most well-known song and has been covered by many other bands.
Has it?
I can't hit those notes. Can't do it.
I want out of this review.
Okay, well, give us your shitometer score.
All right, so I want to set the stage a little bit before I give this score because I need this to have some context here. I have found out through this year, specifically with Josh, that I love power metal.
It's so fucking good.
Now, I have always liked power metal. Looking back, right? In the moment, I didn't know that, but looking back, I liked a lot of power metal and like symphonic metal and stuff like that. And this year, Josh and I kind of, did we had a streak going a little bit. We were doing half-hour power, and Josh and I are still keeping up with a lot of power metal bands, just privately because these two guys are idiots and don't like good music. And
I think that's the problem. I think that's the problem for this album, personally.
And I agree. So I wanted to just say, like, the new Stratovarius album. God, that album's so fucking good.
Holy shit!
But here's the problem. This album, which is supposed to be better than part one, to me, it's when I say it's not even close, it's stupid. Not even close. I'm coming at this one. It's still a recommend. But man, is it got there by the skin of its teeth due to some good songs from the record. I'm at a 42 on this, which is really low for me for power metal.
Oh, next. I agree, Dave. I'm at a 40 with this one. I was really excited for it, and I don't hate it, really.
No, I don't either.
I barely have a low light, to be honest with you. But yeah, I don't like power metal. I've established that, but that first album, man, it fucking blew my tits off of how fucking. So this album, part two, supposedly like the greatest power metal album of all time. Obviously, I was excited for it, and it's just okay. Maybe it being overhyped or me being overexcited for it has something to do with that. But I've kind of been jamming it on and off for the last 2 months, and I did not fall in more love with it like I thought I would.
No, we'll get into it later. I have some key problems with it, I think.
But anyway, yeah, no, I'm at a 40 with this one.
Gosh.
Look, I think it's definitely not as good as part one, and I think some of the things that are hurting this record for me right now is the fact that this new Stratovarius record is fucking gold, and this new Blind Guardian record is fucking gold. And look, it shouldn't hurt this record, but I can't unhear how good those power metal albums are, and then hear like how mediocre some of this album is. I'm at a 43.
Wow, we're like all right there.
Wow. I mean, it's almost like we had compared notes, but like I said, we didn't. I'm going to agree with all three of you. I think I gave the prior Halloween.
You gave it a 37.
High 30s?
37.
Okay. This one is, for me personally, this album starts out well, and it never peaks, but it never really takes off. And then for me, like, the back end of this album is just not good, and I gave this album a 44.
Okay.
So we're missing a 41, so 40, 42, 43, 44.
Yeah, Adrian, you should have just gave it a 41 just to make that simple.
All right, well, I changed my score, 41. There we go.
All right, I allow it. Okay, so we're at a 42.5. Look, keep in mind that's still a recommend from us, although, again, it's a tentative one. Look, I'm sure there's going to be Halloween fans. If any listen to this, they're going to be, crying or whatever.
And
but
look, I'm not saying I wouldn't recommend it. I'm just saying it wouldn't be like the first 25 albums I would recommend.
Yeah. I have a feeling.
It definitely was not better than the prior Halloween.
No. For comparison, we gave that one overall a 27 score. So this is considerably worse than that on our system. Again, this is considered like a C tier record for us. So basically mid. Does this belong on the list, Adrian?
No.
Josh?
No.
I want to say no. I'm assuming, Jason, you're a no?
Yeah.
Okay, and will you? Does this make you want to listen to more Halloween, Adrian?
Not this album.
Okay.
This album does. Last one did.
Josh?
Yeah, it still does.
Okay. I'm going to say yes only because I have the benefit of knowing other Halloween albums. So, Jason, I'm going to say no for you as well.
No.
Oh.
God damn it. I would say yes only because I still like the prior album.
Gotcha.
Well
Okay.
enough to say that maybe this was a misfire.
Okay.
Well, I mean, that's kind of how I felt. Should I just change mine to a yes?
I mean,
That's
I do want to check out the one before their very first album. What is it called?
The Walls of Jericho.
yeah.
There
You
you
don't
go.
you don't
I
want
knew
to
it
check
was
that one
wrestling
out.
related.
Listen, you'll probably like that one. It's very thrashy.
It actually is. Yeah, it's more of an old school sound. Yeah. Okay. Josh.
Well, Dave, what was your issue with the album? You
So
said you had some key points.
my main problem, I would say my number one problem.
Would you say you had 7 key points?
my number one problem is the vocals. I think the vocalist is noticeably worse on this record. I think he gets in the way, actually, of me enjoying a number of these songs.
There's some tough moments for that, for sure. There's some good moments as well. I have some highlights that have some good moments, but yeah, it's inconsistent as shit.
Like, and along with the vocals, I don't think there's any really strong, like, choruses. Like, I think of the song "I'm Alive," like "I'm alive," like just his whole performance. Kai Hansen, I believe is his name. His whole performance on Keeper of the Seven Keys Part 1, dude, it's so good from nearly start to finish, like most of the songs. And this one, I don't know if he's trying to like one up himself, or I'm not really sure what's happening. But dude, I am just not in love with the vocal melodies on a lot of these songs. And I would say the guitar work is also like, there's no real memorable solos for me on this record either. At least not as many as the previous record. Like,
Do you think this album gets a lower score for you because it's part 2? Like, if this was,
a standalone.
we're banging your mom in a closet is the name of the album. Like,
no.
do you feel like you like that album more, or does it take it does it take it down a notch because it's part 2 of a great album?
Well, I think the problem is that it doesn't feel like a part 2. Like, it doesn't feel like it's part of 2. Like, it's not. There's not 2 halves here that make a whole. Like, if I can use the comparison to System of a Down's Mesmerize and Hypnotize, which are criminally not on this list. Mesmerize and Hypnotize, for those that are System of a Down fans, those feel like 2 halves of a whole. Like, those albums have cohesion, whereas
like Load and Reload.
I was say load and reload. Yep.
sure, yeah, they like those records. But no, in all seriousness, like, this doesn't feel like a part 2 to me. Now, I'm sure there's Halloween fans out there, or people who are a little bit more familiar with these records. Maybe they grew up with them, and maybe they can point out like some familiar themes, or maybe some familiar chord progressions, or they can probably sell me on it. But from a passive listener, I am missing something here.
Probably in the lyrics or something, maybe.
I agree. I just think the songwriting is just not as good.
Yeah.
Why is it considered the best, do you think, though? Like, what is it about this one that's better than the last one?
I think it's got the song that is generally considered like their most popular song, right? Which was "I Want Out." So I think maybe it's like, it may just be like People with Enter Sandman, right? People always associate them with that, so maybe that's just like their version of that. I don't know.
I'm gonna throw out a guess. I'm gonna say none of us had that as a highlight.
No,
I had it as the highlight. It was
You
my
do?
number 2.
I don't have it.
I don't have it.
I
It's not a
Want
bad
Out.
song.
For me, I Want Out is the point where I want out of this album.
Oh yeah. Go ahead, Jason. Give us your lowlights and your top 3 here.
All right, so top 3. I have, let's see. I'm going to skip the instrumental, the invitation.
I thought you were gonna have that one, Jason.
Look, it is my number 1 scored song, but to rank the songs that actually have singing on it, I wanted to, try and do you guys justice. So I'm gonna have my number 3 song as Rise and Fall. Number 2, Eagle Fly Free, and number 1, March of Time. And look, those aren't really like highlights. Those are just
Songs.
the ones that ended up in the order. Now, up to that point, a lot of the songs, like the only skipper for me, like truly like just terrible song, is "You Always Walk Alone." But all the rest of the songs up until like "I Want Out" are okay, but I hated "I Want Out." My lowlights are the last 3 songs in this album: "I Want Out," "Save Us," and to me the worst song on here is the 13-minute garbage of "Keeper of the Seven Keys."
Oh, I thought you said "You Want Out" was like, or not? No, I thought you said "You Always Walk Alone." I thought you said that was your least favorite.
No, when you get to "I Want Out," the number 8 song, that's when I want out of this album.
Okay, but I thought I heard you say "I Walk Alone." It's like
that's the first like song that I really didn't like out of the first 7. Like all the first 7 are listenable, except for that song. But then when you get to song number 8, 9, and 10, it's just terrible.
Just done. What were your highlights, Jason? I like lost connection.
Who's next?
Jason, just tell Adrian what your highlights were again. Adrian, he checked out for a minute.
Oh shit. Okay, so highlights. What I have: Rise and Fall, Eagle Fly Free, and March of Time.
All right, I'll go next because I'm like opposite of Jason here. I only have 2 listed lowlights and 2 listed highlights because everything else is kind of just mid, just there for me. It might as well not exist. So lowlights, I have Dr. Stein or Steen or whatever. I don't like that song. And then Rise and Fall is the worst song on this record by a lot. I hate that song. I believe that's the song that goes rise and fall, or fucking like whatever the fuck it is. It's terrible. That might be some of the worst music I've heard on this list so far. And then my number 2 song is "Keeper of the Seven Keys." Jason, I guess you just can't handle long songs. That's a good song. It's one of the few good songs on this record. And then "Eagle Fly Free." I was optimistic when that song played because I was like, okay, all right, we're here. We're doing it.
We shared that song, Dave. At least we both had that as a highlight.
And that has a good chorus. I mean, it's not nearly as strong as the opener of "I'm Alive." Like, it doesn't even like sniff that song, but it's good. Except the album kind of just drifts into mid territory from there for me.
Correct.
Okay. I guess what are we doing? Lowlights then highlights?
Yeah, do it.
Yeah, do it.
So my lowlights are, Dr. Stein, Dr. Steen.
I don't know Adrian at all.
And then, to me, I completely agree. I couldn't have worded it better than Jason. The absolute worst pile of shit on here is "Keeper of the Seven Keys." That song is fucking brutal. All right. Now, my highlights. Number 3 is "Eagle Fly Free." Number 2, "I Want Out." And number 1, "We Got the Right." It's a fucking jam.
Okay. All right. Listen, I certainly don't find myself agreeing with Adrian very often, okay? But lowlights, Dr. Stein and dude, "Keeper of the Seven Keys" is atrocious. What a piece of shit. My top 3 here. My top 3, I got "March of Time" at number 3. Great guitar work throughout the song. I like the long intro all the way into the verse. Very good. And a great chorus. Number 2, "Eagle Fly Free." Good vocal melodies. Just good. I mean, it's a good song. And then number 1, I have "You Always Walk Alone." I love that song. Good fucking riffs. Great solo in that song. Really good melodies. "You Always Walk Alone." Good jam.
Yep. Just a recap. I don't think I'll ever listen to this album voluntarily ever again. I'm just going to put that out there.
No. It'll get thrown on.
Jason says he doesn't hear anything Adrian is saying.
Oh.
I do.
I mean, I hear everything you're saying, Adrian, so I'm not sure.
As long as you guys do, we'll just work around it.
Can you not hear me? Nope.
Okay.
All right. Well, moving on here. All right. Finally, we have a band making their first appearance here on the list. Who is that? Oh, Gomez checked out.
Son of a bitch. All right. How's that, Jason?
Go ahead, Josh.
Yep, he doesn't hear you.
Not any better. Not any better.
Let's just keep rolling, Adrian.
All right.
All right, here we go. So we got a band making their first appearance here on the list. This is the number 32 album of all time. This is Pantera with Vulgar Display of Power. Pantera, formed in 1981, is an American heavy metal band from Arlington, Texas. The band started out as a glam metal band before changing to a new, heavier sound.
They were better.
They released six albums with what is considered their classic lineup, which featured Phil Anselmo on vocals, Dimebag Darrell on guitar, Rex Brown on bass, and Vinnie Paul on drums. Tensions started rising as Phil Anselmo became addicted to heroin. This led to the band breaking up in 2003. Dimebag and Vinnie created a new band and released an album called Damage Plan. The album's called Newfound Power. While on tour for that album in 2004, a man would walk up onto the stage and shoot and kill Dimebag during their set. Vinnie Paul has also since passed away of heart failure in 2018. Pantera is one of the most successful metal bands in history. They've sold over 20 million records and have been nominated for 4 Grammys. Vulgar Display of Power, released in 1992, is the band's 6th studio album. The album is a further shift in their sound away from glam metal. They introduced a more aggressive sound on Cowboys from Hell and continued becoming more aggressive here. This is the band's best-selling record to date and eventually became certified double platinum. The album features 4 singles: Mouth for War, This Love, Hollow, and the all-time classic Walk.
All right.
Great stuff.
Yeah, let's just give shit meters real quick, and then we can talk about it. Look, I'll go first, just so I can start us off on a good foot here. Pantera, I love Pantera. I've loved most of their records. For me, growing up, my parents were into country music. My mom was into like rock music, but my dad was definitely into country. So Pantera was like that really first, like, to me at the time, over the top, like band, like with like nothing but screaming vocals, really aggressive guitar playing. And so for me, it was kind of like that band I had that was like a fuck you to my dad, right? So maybe I have some nostalgia towards the band. But look, like, going back and listening to this record, dude, it felt good. It felt great. Like, the songs on here are really, really good. I really enjoyed listening to this record again. I'm going to come in at a 20 for this record.
Nice.
Right on.
I'll go next. Oh, go ahead, Adrian. Go ahead.
All right, so let me just hit y'all with my score right up front. I'm giving it a 48.
It's better than I thought.
This is...
what do you give it?
A 48.
Okay.
This is my first time hearing the album ever. Though I have heard fucking Hostile and Walk. Everything else had been, brand new to me. What's interesting is I think my biggest complaint, and maybe some guitarists, you including Josh, can understand this, but I get so fucking sick of that guitar tone. Like, it sounds so brutal at first, like in a good way, and then you're halfway through the album. And I feel like by the time I'm done with the album, I have a fucking headache from that guitar tone. That's like has the tempo, or I'm sorry, the treble at 11, the bass at 11, and the mids are just non-existent.
Cranked down, yeah.
Yeah, I feel like it works with Walk so well, and Cowboys from Hell so well, but like This Love, it just I don't know. I don't like the way it sounds like that. And now they actually, from the album that was our number 50, The Years of Decay, same producer, and Dimebag specifically took that guitar tone and made it his own. But if you go back and listen to the production styles, like you said, there's a bass player named Rex something or the other.
Rex Brown.
Rex Brown, yeah.
Hey, I guess. Yeah, I didn't fucking hear him. But, the in Years of Decay, the way the bass is mixed in is just so goddamn good. And I wish they could have done that with this album, because maybe I would have liked it a whole lot more. Also, I could have done without the chugging open Ds for like 90% of the album also. So anyway, that's where I'm at. I think there's some aggression on here that's really good. I think Vinnie Paul stood out to me the most. I just really like his solid fucking drumming. And I was actually really impressed with some of Dimebag's guitar solos.
Some.
I'll talk. Oh, hey, you can hear me. Right on.
Yep.
I've heard him solo before, and though his solos do have a distinct sound, that's what's good about him, and it may be bad about him too. But it's him when he's soloing, like in the Anthrax albums, you knew 100%. It was him.
Yeah.
So anyway,
so for me, I hadn't heard this record since high school. I bought this record among others like Number of the Beast and Dirt, which is next. I bought a bunch of records basically that were supposed to be like, I went through a phase where it's like, okay, buy all the best records ever made. And I bought one from each of these bands, right? And this was one of them. And I did jam it in high school, but I never like loved it in high school. Since then, I never really jammed it. I have jammed Cowboys from Hell, the record previous to this, and I think my problem is that I just consider that record to be a superior record to this in most every way for me. I think Phil Anselmo's vocals are infinitely better on that record, and I just like the songs so much more on that record than I do this record. This record did not hold up for me as well as I wanted it to, but I couldn't not recommend it. So I ended up coming in at a 48 as well. I think the record is fine. I wish I liked it more than I did. I think it's just one of those things where I didn't connect with it as a kid, or as a teenager. So I feel like I don't have the benefit of having that connection with it. So, but it's not a bad record by any means.
This is 92.
Yep.
Yeah.
So that's where I'm at.
Go ahead, Fossil.
All right. So 1992, I was a senior in high school.
Yeah.
I was in kindergarten.
This was perfect. This was the perfect time for this album. This is the album that I got introduced to Pantera on. Then went back to Cowboys from Hell, and I didn't even know they had a final record until Josh turned it on to me a couple months ago, and it's not worth listening to. So I'm just gonna pretend like I never heard it. And all of their albums are fantastic, but this one is probably one of my favorites. Just to be a teenager and have this come out at that time, because life sucks. Your parents hate you. You got girl issues. I mean, you don't know what you're doing with your life. Like shit is real.
Yeah, I was 7.
This was the perfect album at the time. I gave this a 16.
Woof.
There you go, Fossil.
Yeah.
Write this shit, baby.
Yeah, I will say, like, I trolled these guys in the chat like weeks ago. I put a link to the album that Pantera refuses to acknowledge. They refuse to acknowledge their glam metal years, but they have an album with Phil Anselmo called Power Metal that came out before Cowboys from Hell. That's not really glam metal, really. That's legitimately a good record. I'm not going to be dumb and say that it's actually better than this one, like I was saying that day, just to basically get a rise out of these guys. But that record, they should acknowledge that record. There's some good songs on that record. Anyway, that overall that brings us to a 33, which I'm going to be honest, that's a much better score than I initially thought like weeks ago that this would do. So that is considered a B tier. I'm sorry, Josh. I really do wish I enjoyed this more. I like I said,
it's amazing to me that this band became the biggest band in the world. Because not long after this record, they came out with Far Beyond Driven. So I agree with you, Dave. I think Cowboys from Hell is a better record than this for sure, and I think Far Beyond Driven is a better record than this, and I think Great Southern Trendkill is a better record than this as well. So this is lower on my list of Pantera records, but when Far Beyond Driven came out, their next album, they actually debuted as the number one band in the world on the Billboard charts when that one came out. So they were the biggest metal band in the world in the time of Metallica and those other guys, right? And they purposely, so they say, shifted more so to this aggressive sound because Metallica went to the Black Album. And so because they went away from that thrash sound, they kind of adopted this thrashy groove metal sound that was a lot more aggressive. And I just think it's crazy to me to go back and think that a band like that would have been the number one band in the world.
They were on back in the day. MTV used to play these things like music videos, where the band would actually make a video for their songs, and it would play like 24/7. And so
I used to watch the shit out of that. You'd never know what you were getting, but you waited so you could see your fucking video.
Yes.
Yeah.
And Pantera was on all the time.
Yeah. I mean, look, my brothers are around Jason's age. So I mean, like I grew up, like my oldest brother, he saw Metallica on the Black Album tour twice when they came to Houston on both legs of the tour. And so like, yeah, like I did listen to a lot of these things. Like I have memories of Enter Sandman and like Walk and stuff like playing in my head in my house as a child. I just, it's kind of just burned into my head. But okay, I already know the answer to this for Josh and Jason. I'm sure you're going to both say that this belongs on the list.
Absolutely.
Adrian, do you think this belongs on the list?
I don't.
That's dumb.
I mean, look, to be fair, I could say no because again, I mean, I feel like there's 3 other albums that are better than this one from Pantera. So I'll say no.
Okay.
I say no. Like again, I kind of stand by my statement. For the record, if I was going to rate, and I did think about this in case this came up, if I was going to rate a Cowboys from Hell, I would put it at least at a 35 for me. I actually think that's a very good record. Will you listen to more, Adrian? Does this make you want to listen to more Pantera?
No.
Okay, I know the answer for you two. I'm gonna say no. I'm gonna need to be convinced on Pantera. I just don't. I don't know if I have it in me to jam them. I think this is more of a like you had to grow up with them type of deal. But maybe that's just me being.
So, but before we move on really quick, I'm gonna just jump to Cowboys from Hell. Just the 2 songs that I'm familiar with from there, which are Cowboys from Hell and Cemetery Gates. Those songs are just so goddamn colorful in almost every single way. Whereas in Vulgar Display, it's just, I feel like every song is just so fucking one-dimensional, and we're just fucking chugging open D's like the whole fucking time. I feel like there's lacking a lot of personality.
That's not quite accurate, is it? But okay.
I mean, that's my impression from someone who's, I'm not familiar with all the goddamn songs on this album, right? This is just me listening to it 3 or 4 times, and that's how I take it, right? Now, again, the guitar solos are great, but I don't know. I just feel like the riffs are very uninspired and boring compared to other Pantera that I've heard.
I would say, Adrian, I would give Cowboys from Hell a shot. Like I think that record, like the Domination is on that record. Primal Concrete Sludge. I wanted to say Sludge, but that's a good song. I don't know the tracks like off the top of my head, but like that record is pretty much a banger from start to finish from what I remember. I haven't heard it like in the last few years, but
we've done highlights and lowlights yet?
No, we're getting there.
Okay.
All right.
Go, Jason, do it.
All right, so I don't have any lowlights. For me, the 2 least best songs on here be No Good and Live in a Hole. But the top 3, I say top 4 for me, is number 4, By Demons Be Driven. Number 3, Mouth of War. Number 2, Fucking Hostile. And number 3, Walk. Now, Walk and Fucking Hostile could flip-flop if they wanted to. I love those songs.
I'll go. My lowlights are No Good, Attack the Radical, and Regular People, Conceit. Just not really a fan of those songs necessarily. My top 3 songs are Rise. I like that song. Walk and fucking Hostile.
Yeah, let me just pop in since those are mine, Dave, as well. Same order. My one low light is This Love. I don't know. I want to know what this shit is when I hear that song. Oh yeah.
Let's see. Low light, not really a low light for me, but Rise, probably my least favorite song on the album, but not bad. Walk, number 3 for me. I think about Walk, like you go to any concert in Texas, and this song comes on like while the other bands are setting up or something like that. Dude, the whole crowd starts singing along. I mean, it turns into a thing. I mean, it's not the best song on the album by a mile, but dude, it's so good. Number 2, A New Level. Just great riffs. I just love the makeup of the song. And number 1 for me, Adrian, is This Love. I love the chorus. I love the dynamic changes. And dude, I just love singing along with that chorus.
All right. Josh, take
Gets me
us
fucking jacked up to the tits every time I hear it. All right.
take us home to the last song here. Our last album, sorry.
All right, so coming up here on the number 31 record of all time here, we have a little band called Alice in Chains. The album is called Dirt. Alice in Chains formed in 1987. It's an American rock band from Seattle, Washington. Often associated with the grunge. Yeah, they're a rock band. Okay. We'll get there. Often associated with the grunge movement, the band does have some heavy metal elements. They are most known for their distinctive vocal style. The band's classic lineup is made up of Lane Staley on vocals, Jerry Cantrell on guitar, Mike Inez on bass, and Sean Kinney on drums. The band has released 6 studio albums, including their latest album, Rainier Fog, which was released in 2018. The band did see some extended inactivity starting in 1996 due to Lane Staley's substance abuse. Sadly, Lane Staley passed away in 2002 due to the same substance abuse. The band hired William Duvall in 2006 as a vocalist and rhythm guitar player. The band has sold over 30 million records worldwide and has been nominated for 11 Grammys. Dirt, released almost 30 years here to the day in 1992, is the band's second studio album. The album peaked at number 6 on the Billboard chart and has been certified 5 times platinum. This is the last album to feature Mike Starr on bass before being replaced by Mike Inez. The album featured 5 singles: Wood, Them Bones, Angry Chair, Rooster, and Down in a Hole.
All right.
So, look. Yes, right off the top there, Adrian did notice it's an American rock band. Look, I agree. This is a rock band. You can say hard rock, you say grunge rock, whatever. It's a rock band. Dave, write this down. Does it belong on the list? No.
I already put no for every one of us.
It is. No, it doesn't.
It doesn't belong on the list. Like, look, they're not a metal band.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And just as a reminder, this is not our list. This was pulled from several top however many heavy metal album of all time lists. So this is being touted as a heavy metal record by numerous, credited sources.
I believe the issue is the grunge factor in front of, because back in the day, well, like whenever this was out, they didn't consider this grunge alternative or grunge rock, so they just labeled it as grunge metal, and I think that just stuck.
Yeah.
Well, I think the problem, I don't think they're grunge. I mean, personally, the problem is they came out in the 90s from Seattle, and so they got lumped into other pussy bands like Pearl Jam and like Nirvana and stuff like that.
Whoa. Slow down.
But I don't think this fits. I think this is more like Soundgarden, and I don't think Soundgarden's grunge either. I think they're a hard rock band that has metal elements. I think they're closer. I mean, if we're gonna compare it to a metal band of some kind, I think they're closer to Black Sabbath, Corrosion of Conformity, something in that doom sludge metal genre versus some other traditional types of metal.
Let's get into these shadow meter scores so we can start arguing here, because we already kind of know where this is probably going based on text messages that have gone on over the last 2 months. And I'll start it off because I already know that there's probably going to be some behind the scenes adjustment of scores. So I'm just going to throw it out there and give you an opportunity to do that if you need to.
I'll give you a picture of my score right now.
Okay. I did not enjoy this record. I think this record is a chore to listen to. This is easily one of my least favorite experiences doing this list so far. And outside of basically the singles, I don't think this record is enjoyable. I'm coming in very bad at a 68. I did not like this record at all. I think this is not good. I think this gets rose-tinted glasses. People looking at this like, oh, Alice in Chains is so good. No, they're not. They're not good. Get off your nostalgia. This record is boo-boo.
Okay. I'll pop in here since I have a very bad score too. And what's funny is when I mentioned my lowlights, or when I'm looking at my highlights, David said that all of their basically the only good shit is their singles. And I'm like, well, no, I have one song on here that's not their single. But when Josh mentioned the singles, apparently it was a single. This is just not my type of music, man. It took me three sit downs to complete this album, which is impossible. I mean, I can't just sit there for an hour and listen to it. It's just so goddamn brutal, so boring. Again, it's just not my type of music, man. I think that's my biggest complaint with it. There's some songs I recognized from listening to the buzz and shit. I didn't know the song Wood.
Like every song, yeah.
Yeah, well, like the song Wood, I thought I could have sworn that was Stone Temple Pilots, which I think Wood is my favorite song on this album. It's actually a great song. But yeah, it's just not my shit, man. And I give it the not my shit score of 75. I never want to hear this album again.
Jesus, I thought I was going to be the lowest score.
Or dumb. Look, I'll go next. Again, 1992. This was the perfect album for the time. But I'm going to concede a little bit. I will say that this era of music was somewhat short-lived. The Seattle sound, whatever this sound was back in the day. But I still loved it back in the day, and I still love it now. To me, there are only a couple of songs on here that I would probably skip. I gave this album a 16.
God damn.
Woof.
It's a good score, Fossil. I'm proud of you. Look, man, like Adrian mentioned, so we have this radio station here in Houston. Look, they don't play anything new. I don't know. Look, I hadn't listened to the Buzz in I don't know how long, but
they play the same shit. Whenever you, it's still the same fucking songs.
If you had the Buzz on your radio for an entire work day, there's a near 100% chance you will hear one or more of the songs from this record.
You'll definitely catch Man in the Box, which I know is not on this record, but you'll catch Man in the Box. Glycerine. Yeah, you'll catch Glycerine. You'll catch Rooster for sure, and then maybe one other variable. Look, I don't know why. I love this album. I think one of the cool things about this trip that we're doing, this Metalhead's journey, is it's not only discovering new albums, but it's rediscovering old albums that you hadn't listened to in a long time. And I just had not listened to this record in I don't know how many years, 20 plus years, like other than the hits. But then going back and hearing just a lot of the deep cuts again, dude, it just, I don't know, man. It was just a vibe. It took me somewhere. And I don't know if it took me back into I don't know what year I first heard this. It wasn't in 1992, but I don't know what year it was, but it just took me back to that time, and it felt good. Oddly enough, I actually got to see Alice in Chains live, like a week ago, 10 days ago, 2 weeks, something like that. Just by happenstance. I wasn't even going to the show, and somebody backed out, and my buddy Seth threw me a ticket, and dude, it was great. Like this new lead singer, William Duvall. I had seen him before with him, and that one wasn't so good, but I think it was more the circumstance of the crowd. This was much more chill, sitting on the lawn, beer in hand. I don't know, man. Something about this album that's really good. I think this is a top tier, S tier album. I gave it a 9.
Nice.
Damn.
At least 2 of us are smart.
Yeah. That puts this.
Sorry.
That puts this at a 42.
Criminal. Criminal.
So this album is just mid. It's probably got the more correct score now. It's from our
20 points shorter.
Yeah. For our rating, it's a recommend, but tentative. So if you like bad music, definitely check this out. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. No. This is more to do with the stylistic choice. Like I kind of agree with Adrian. It's just not my vibe. I think the hits are very good, but then I didn't like any of the non-tracks.
Maybe you just don't like metal.
Yeah.
I feel like that since some of these hits are so interchangeable with other bands from that era, it's just whatever to me, man.
Adrian, will you listen to more Alice in Chains?
God, I hope not.
Josh,
I'm not going to disagree with Adrian's thought process there, because this was a 10-year period where bands just came out of the woodworks, and this was the sound.
Yeah, this was the blueprint. Yeah, Josh, will you listen to more Alice in Chains?
Yep.
Okay. I don't know, and I know Josh. His name is Jason. He's at a yes.
Yep.
Okay.
We gonna hit our highlights and lowlights?
Yes.
Yep.
All right, I'll start. So my number 3 is Them Bones. Number 2, Angry Chair, and number 1, Wood.
All right.
Josh?
Lowlights.
Oh, lowlights. Gonna be Godsmack. I mean,
There you go. Good call.
I don't know if there's anything on this album that is absolutely atrocious, but if there is, it's that song. And how the hell did one of my favorite bands growing up name themselves after this shit? All the songs they could have named themselves after on this album, it was the worst one.
Yeah.
Yep.
Low. I had Hate to Feel. Number 3 for me, Angry Chair. Great vocal melody. Number 2, Rain When I Die. I just love the extended intro. Awesome build up to the chorus, and then just the delivery of the When I Die part, so good. Best song on the album for me by far, Junkhead. Love the intro. The vocal melodies are really, really cool, and I think this is one of those songs that it's a little underappreciated, but man, Lane and Jerry Cantrell sing so good together on this song.
Yeah. For me, my lowlights are Sick Man. But I agree with Adrian. I think the clear, least favorite song for me is Godsmack. I don't like that song at all. The rest of the album. Let me just get into my top songs. I actually have 4 highlights. So, my number 4 is Them Bones. My number 3 is Wood. My number 2 is number 2 is Rooster, and number 1 is Down in a Hole. I really like Down in a Hole. I really like their singles, which I really thought.
Sorry, those 4, those are all singles.
Yeah, I really thought that I was going to enjoy this album based on the strength of those singles. For me, the other songs are not bad. I just think the record just drags on a little too long for me, and it just made it not enjoyable. But for me, I like those 4 songs a lot.
All right. You want me to go, Josh, or you want to go?
He already went.
Already went.
All right. So there's only 2 lowlights for me. Well, technically 3. The Untitled number 10 song. It's just a fucking noisemaker.
Those are your favorites, man.
No, not that one. But I'm not a big fan of the title track either, Dirt. And the least favorite, it's consensus. It's Godsmack. But I have top 4 because my number 1 song is a tie. My top 4 would be number 4, Down in a Hole, or 3 if you want to call it that. Rooster. And my tie for number 1, because I really just can't pick a winner, is Wood or Angry Chair.
So they just re-released this album. Did y'all know that?
No.
Yeah, it's the 30-year anniversary, like I said.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Interesting. Well, cool.
All right. Hey, it was good to finally get through the 35 to 31 songs. So we do have a where did my phone go? We do have a planned date right now for the next
5.
Metalhead's Journey. Let me find it real quick.
Are we actually gonna, like, do it though?
Who knows?
Yes, because we have to.
All right.
It's going to be November 7th. So basically a month from now. November 7th, we'll be doing the next Metalhead's Journey. And the next 5 albums we're looking at here, got a couple of albums showing up that we've already talked about in previous versions of the Metalhead's Journey. But we have, I don't know how to say this piece of shit, Enema from Tool. We got Among the Living from Anthrax.
Ugh.
We got the album Melissa from Merciful Fate.
That should be good.
We got Peace Sells, but Who's Buying from Megadeth. And then
God,
we
it
have
means I gotta listen to
Altars.
that?
Yep. And then we have Altars of Madness from Morbid Angel. So that'll be the next 5 bands. So if you want to listen along, kind of keep up with us here on this Metalhead's Journey, those are the next 5. Check them out. In the meantime, continue to check out all the other content we're putting out here. We have weekly House of Dragons reviews. We have some fun stuff coming up here. We are quickly approaching our 200th episode for the podcast, and we're going to be doing something fun for that as well. So stick around. We're also going to do something fun for Halloween. We haven't quite figured that out yet, but we're going to do it. It's going to be cool. Yeah. In the meantime, live long and prosper.
Take it easy, everybody.
See ya.
Later.